So we tried tonight to have all of our speakers be either veterans or veteran service businesses. So our first, our subject, let's call them, for Startup Stories is a gentleman called Richard Contreras. Richard, would you like to come up? Richard is an Air Force veteran. And thank you for your service, Richard. And founder of Tempest Skywise. So I'm going to let you tell them about yourself, and then we'll get on to the questions.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Again, Richard Contreras. I'm the founder of Tempest Skywise. We're like a relatively new company here in the city. We've been around for probably about a year and a half, and we're kind of just starting to get traction with our with the thing that we're building. I was in the Air Force from 2011 to 2015. I did active duty.
Woo! Thank you again.
And I was an aircraft maintainer. I worked F-15s, F-16s, A-10s, MQ-1s, MQ-9s. And I got to travel to a lot of like really cool places, wrench on a lot of really cool stuff, and see, even ride in a few of them, so that was really cool. And that love for airplanes and aviation, it really kind of started for me when I was like a little kid. I grew up in Los Angeles, and my parents would take us out to the Los Angeles airport and watch airplanes take off all day, and that was kind of our birthday present because we really couldn't afford a lot. So as a kid, that kind of left a big impression on me, and as I got older, as I was kind of trying to find my way in the world, I kind of rekindled my love for aviation, for aircraft, and I decided to join the Air Force out of all the crazy things that I could have done in my life. And it worked out for the better. I took the journey, I approached it with an open mind, and it really made me grow in a lot of ways. Even to this day, it provided like a lot of opportunities, but more importantly, it kind of provided the wisdom necessary to kind of continue to thrive forward, like in life, no matter what you want to continue to do. So I finished my enlistment around 2011, or no, 2015, and when I got out of active duty, I used my GI Bill to go to UNLV, and I got my bachelor's. And then at first it was kind of rough because I was really bad at studying. I had bad habits. I didn't actually do really good like my first or second semester, and I thought I was going to drop out. And then I kind of leaned into kind of the way I kind of think and the way I learned, and that's kind of when everything kind of started turning for me. I found a nice quiet place at my house, and I was able to kind of study. And I graduated with my bachelor's, and I used that momentum to get my master's in data science. So I was still working full-time in the aviation field as a contractor, still doing the exact same job in the Air Force, but now I had an education. Now I knew how technology worked. I knew where technology was going, and I really kind of wanted to be a part of solving big problems for the industry that I cared about. So that's kind of how I started taking this journey of entrepreneurship for here in Las Vegas for what we do now. It was a really good market. We have really amazing resources, and people are generally really supportive about what you're kind of doing. Even if they don't kind of understand what you're doing, they like to hear you out and really be encouraging, which is kind of sometimes what you need as an entrepreneur. So
well, the room's full of people like that tonight, Richard. That's why you're here. So tell us a bit about what Tempest Skywise LLC does.
Yeah, so
give me an elevator pitch.
So I was a maintainer in the Air Force, and one of the big problems that we have in the industry is that when a maintainer leaves, they take all that wisdom, all that experiential knowledge that's very unique to the experience that they acquire from working in aircraft for about 5 or 10 years. Sometimes they just leave the career field because they're fed up with it. Sometimes they get kicked out of that profession because that's just kind of how the military works sometimes. And other times they just want to pursue other things, or even worse, sometimes they just retire, or something just happens where all that knowledge that they've accumulated kind of gets lost. So at Tempest Skywise, we created the muscle memory for the entire aviation profession. So
say that again. You created...
We created the muscle memory for the aviation profession.
There you go.
So
that's
now,
the tagline.
So now when a maintainer leaves, that knowledge stays within that very specific airframe, and maintainers that just enter that specific airframe can learn from these mechanics that retired, that separated, that left the profession. So it alleviates the brain drain from all these kind of retired mechanics.
Cool. Hi, Claudia. Okay, so when did you found the organization? What was your first year?
Yeah, I started last year, and it kind of didn't really start out that way. I was working as a contractor. I was making pretty decent money as a contractor, but what you do as a mechanic, even though it's important, even though there's like lives at stake, it's just you and the machine. It's just one-on-one type of impact, which is important. But when I kind of started going through the whole data science thing and just really kind of started thinking about systems, about technology, and about kind of amplifying and empowering like the mechanics, it just dawned on me like last year. So I first started as a supply chain optimization problem, which was kind of all these parts that the aircraft need. How can we optimize the supply chain to create just-in-time manufacturing type platform? And everybody that I actually kind of started out with at first, I made the first-time founder mistake of going into business with people that kind of, they didn't have any skin in the game. They still had the same old job, and they were just kind of waiting to see kind of what happened with me. So if it went good with me, now they were ready to leave. But if it didn't work out, like, hey, we still have that job here. We don't need the money. So eventually everybody kind of started dropping out. And I think around February or March of this year, I was kind of like left by myself. I'm like, I still have a little bit of things going for me, but all my co-founders left. This idea isn't working out the way I thought a bit about it. I'm running out of resources. What can I do in the meantime? Or should I start calling my old job back and see if I could get my job back? And it was probably about 1 or 2 months of just showing up every day, reading books, reading articles, and just kind of leaning into kind of my nerdiness, my quirkiness, the way I think. And I just kind of followed this curiosity until one day I just kind of had a weird epiphany. It just kind of like dawned on me that the problems that I need to be solving, I already experienced in my last lifetime as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force. And I know the problem intimately. I lived it. All my coworkers have lived it. Now take the initiative and go solve the problem.
So cool. So you pivoted.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes, exactly.
And interesting enough, Sean Giguamosa, I don't know if you know him from Claritative, he was our Startup Stories feature last month. He came back because when he first came to talk to us at Tech Alley, his business looked one way. And similar kind of thing, it wasn't working out. He had a great idea, he thought, but he wasn't really solving a problem that people wanted to be solved. So similar thing. And that's a really cool message to send people. Your first idea isn't always your best idea, right? True?
Yeah.
So now, so tell us exactly how you provide this service, or what your plan is on providing this service. Like, how do you plan going about, gathering the data, and then how are you going to service your customers, and who are your customers?
For sure, yeah. I'd be happy to talk about it. So when I kind of thought about it a little more, and I really started researching what tools are kind of like available now, you kind of start to figure out what tools are good for the job and which ones are just hype for the job and which ones are just terrible for the job. And that was kind of like a big part of my approach. Like, how do we not reinvent the wheel, but how do we build something that's going to scale to kind of serve customers in a meaningful way? It was important for us that when we designed our piece of software, that it wasn't full of clutter, that immediately, as soon as like a maintainer used it, they were going to reach that aha moment immediately and not just kind of have to go through this whole process of really thinking about it too much. And that was really kind of important to us. So essentially, we built an epistemology engine that kind of scales the tacit wisdom of the mechanics. So if you think about it from one mechanic that works on, let's say, 737s or 757s, sometimes these mechanics work on this one very specific airframe for a very long periods of time. That's a lifetime of learning, a lifetime of iterating, a lifetime of problem solving, a lifetime of creativity that is very unique to each airframe. And what I realized is that if we kind of build this model, if we spend the time designing this kind of framework, the aviation field, no matter what airframe you're working on, kind of works in very similar ways. So it's a dual use technology. Our first market, our beachhead market was actually general aviation. And there was two really good reasons for this. First off, like even though they're all very regulated industries, which is very important because it is a life and death profession. And if you don't take it seriously, you're going to get somebody killed. So it was very important for us to kind of take the time to really validate our data and what we were doing. And so our first beachhead market was general aviation, and it was because, I'll just bluntly, they're not as strict as military aviation. It is very important to them, but it's kind of the Wild West for maintenance.
That's kind of scary. How many people go on planes?
They're very safe, but it is.
It's the but that worries me.
They're not more dangerous. The tolerances are looser because the stresses are lower.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, there you go. Okay, a good way of putting it. Okay.
Right. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason that we chose that beachhead property was because it was an incredibly underserved market. The big companies, they're not building software for the 4-person maintenance repair facility here in North Las Vegas Airport or at the Henderson Airport. They're really focused on like the big ticket customers. So it was a perfect market to kind of to get a product out quick, start iterating with it. And there's a concept of the sound versus noise. The sound is what you really want to focus on when you're initially building, because they're going to give you the quickest feedback. They have the biggest problem. Nobody's paid attention to them before. And at a small scale, they're solving the exact same problem that you're trying to solve at a big scale. So you could drive over to the North Las Vegas Airport and really have a chat face-to-face with them. If it was just noise, you would just throw your product out to the market and you wouldn't know where all the dissatisfaction would be coming from, because you don't have any way to systematically weed out the noise. So that was our go-to-market strategy to begin with.
So 2 questions. How do you get your data, and where's your data come from? Number 1. And how do you get to your customer? And then what does the mechanic see, or how do they use the tool?
Yeah, so from my experience as a mechanic, I didn't just want it to be a website that somebody has to log out of whatever they're doing at the time, because it's kind of like in a lot of professions where focus is finite. It doesn't go on forever. So if you break somebody out of that flow, not only are they going to be mad about it, but they're gonna kind of lose focus about what they're doing entirely. So our integration is actually into the workflow of the mechanic, and so they're able to integrate with our wisdom layer inside their workbook, which it doesn't interrupt the workflow of the mechanic. It's part of their workflow. It's already ingrained in them. They already collaborate with it, and that insight only came from me being a maintainer myself.
So it's like an API to what they're already working with, or something like that.
So it takes the structured and unstructured data of the mechanic.
Okay.
And that's really where the data is coming from, the insights, the tips and tricks, this is a pattern that we've been noticing on a 737. It's important that everybody knows about it.
So the mechanic then puts the information into the system, into the platform.
Yep.
They add that data as a resource.
Yes.
So that you're getting that data for free, basically. You're getting that data for free, the knowledge base.
Right.
Okay, all right. And so then you're gathering all that data, and then what is your business model? How do you monetize that?
Well, so all these insights are very important to the maintenance industry, because if you damage a part, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not even sure about how to install a trunnion pin, you're easily going to get somebody killed. So there's that big painkiller problem versus a vitamin. A painkiller is something that hurts the industry so much that they'll pay you a lot of money to solve it. So this is wisdom at scale, this very specific wisdom from that very specific, amazing mechanic that's worked this industry for a long time.
Right.
it doesn't just stay with this mechanic anymore. It scales to worldwide.
Fantastic. Have you been able to secure your first customer?
We actually just finished our beta, and we actually have interest from a few customers at the North Las Vegas airport.
Right.
My old boss actually reached out to me out of Nellis Air Force Base, and we got interest from them, and we also got interest from Draken, which is a big defense contractor.
Are you a solopreneur? Do you have other people helping you now?
I have one co-founder that I actually met at
Tech Alley. That's right. You did
I met at Tech Alley here in Las Vegas, and it didn't really kind of start out as a hey, want to work together. We kind of just started talking about cars, and I saw his kind of. I didn't really kind of know that he was a developer at the time or a what he is. I didn't really know that. We just kind of started talking about cars, about Chevys, about engine swaps, and then we kind of started talking about like cool stuff that we worked on, and then it eventually came up that I was an aircraft mechanic. He's like, oh cool, like I really wanted to do that. Like, oh, I always really wanted to work on cars, and we just kind of built that relationship, and then as it turns out that he was an amazing developer, and I was a data modeler.
He helped you build a platform, basically.
Yeah. We
cool.
we co-architected it, and we're just taking the journey together.
So are you ready to go to market now? Is it market ready?
Probably in like about 2 more months.
Okay.
It's a pretty interesting problem.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. No. So we have a room of smart people here, right? So the whole idea of this segment is that if you're having any challenges in your business, or if there's anything that you're not sure about, or you need a resource for something, like you might find it here. So can you think of anything that you need help with? Has there been a brick wall you've come up against in any particular part of what you're trying to do? Have you figured everything out? Do you have any questions? This is the time to ask them.
Oh man, besides money's
money's
always
always a problem, right?
I'll take some donations, that's cool.
Right.
No, it's a totally bootstrap venture right now. I've been bootstrapping it out of my own savings for a few months already. And to be honest, like the amazing thing about like technology nowadays is that if you really kind of lean into AI language learning models, it's an amplification of your own talents. And so we've been able to kind of two-man team it up to this point, and we've been fighting. We have already built with like a team of like 5 or 6 people with over $1 million in funding. It would take, and so it's pretty kind of crazy.
We used back in the day call those blue dollars, but that's listen, it's the same thing, right? If you're not paying them, you're using them as a resource, and whether it's equity or however you're compensating them, that's how you get by at the start, right?
So about a month ago, we know that our philosophy engine works, and that was kind of like a big deal for us because up until that point, we were kind of heads down in the grind, figuring things out. And one of the biggest kind of risks was like, hey, can we even get what we have in our heads to kind of work in a way that actually solves the problem for the customer. So now we know. Now, since about a month ago, now we know it works. Now we didn't think we would get this far, so that's good.
Never doubt yourself. Never doubt yourself.
So now it's so as far as resources, if anybody has any aviation resources. Maybe a cool connection at Creech, maybe something like that. I would be more than happy to. I would be more than happy to.
You should talk to this.
To talk and collaborate.
Okay. Anybody have any ideas, questions for Richard?
I'll take any questions.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I also was an aircraft mechanic and worked on fighters and cargo ships.
Oh man, legit.
They're all. But there are different schools in different parts of the country. Are you trying to be a knowledge transfer of information to replace training or to add to training?
That's a good question, man. And when we first started this, I really had to conceptualize what we were really trying to do, right? And a lot of times when people went to solve this problem, for example, I had a connection at Toyota that told me that I was kind of crazy, but they build these knowledge systems from the top down that feels really inauthentic to the workers that are actually providing this knowledge. They think that if we start working with the system. They're going to build robots that are going to take our job. That's literally what they think. And my approach was actually to build it from the ground up, from the mechanic's point of view, and amplify what the mechanic knows instead of just trying to replace them altogether.
Thanks for the question. Anyone else have any questions? Anybody? Oh, no, that's not Ryan. No question. Okay, so
over there.
a question? Question.
So are you looking at this on a global level or just national?
I'm ambitious, so yes.
You can't go global if you want to do military here, though.
It's a two-sided market, so it would be two different models that do two different things. You just can't mix them together.
Yeah, two different. It's the same software, similar. Oh boy. So listen, Richard. We run over time a little bit because we started a bit late, but I mean, I think what you're doing is amazing. You have a room of people here that have had startups, are involved in startups. I have you've got my head turning already about ways that can maybe help introduce you to people to kind of get your product out there. So take advantage of the room, okay? We have about half an hour at the end to network, okay? And people don't leave, by the way. Does everyone get a free raffle ticket? Did everyone get a raffle ticket? We have some cool prizes at the end to give out to people as a thank you for what you did for HopeLink last month. We raised $1,000 for HopeLink. Give yourselves a round of applause. So stick around. We've got some cool prizes. But anyway, please take advantage of this room and the knowledge that's in here. And you and I can chat later as well. But thank you for telling us about your business and what you're trying to do. It's a problem that news to be solved. I mean, safety is a key issue, right? And you see aircraft disasters and stuff, and a lot of the times, who knows what the cause is, right? But
to be honest, it was like a problem that was kind of deeply personal to me because I lost friends in like an airplane crash. So
wow,
it was
sorry to hear that.
It was a way to kind of repair. Once you're in the system, you don't realize how broken it is. So now it's a way to kind of mend the system a little bit, or at least give it your best shot, right? That's what my friends would have wanted for me to give it your best shot. And
well, we need you because we all want to fly safer. So thank you for doing this.
Me too.
No, really.
Yeah.
All right, Richard. So if anyone has any questions for Richard after, you can approach him. Thank you so much, Richard, for sharing your story with us.